That's wonderful. The film has always been, obviously, anybody that's been listening to the show has been a passion, and Bonnie has been there every step of the way over the last 2 years to send what she could, and it's been a big help, and it also parlayed over into from trusted sources here in the Low Power FM community. So,
and the battle right now is in information. If the people that go unheard, this is the stuff that has to get out, and people that actually donate and facilitate that information getting out, you are empowering the people in the information war.
Well, and also this is a way of expressing freedom, because one of the things we're into now with the new world, and we are in the new world. Don't even think the old world exists anymore, because it doesn't. The new energy, the positive grid that's now around this planet is telling us this is the world of the individual living in freedom with abundance. And that's the world we're now in. What does abundance mean? It means flowing good things to each other. You'll notice on the Internet there's a lot of what they call open source. Open source is information passing to each other without any copyrights or all those boundaries and, hanging on to your little coconut. Don't let anybody have this. Well, now it's all open source, and this generation, which are the 20-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, they're already into this stuff. They already have it.
These little net kids are amazing with the way they work together, and they're so in tune with each other and so open about everything. I was going to ask you, are you familiar with the book, The Fourth Turning?
The Fourth Turning?
Mm-hmm, and it's about...
F-O-U-R-T-H?
Yeah, T-U-R-N-I-N-G, fourth, like 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't know it.
Well, it's talking about what you were talking about us being in a major transition. And, in fact, like you said, we're in the new world. It talks about historical events and how every generation we have some sort of a change, and there are turns within turns, like wheels and gears. And we're actually in what they call the fourth turning, meaning major, major, major change. And I think it lasts about, each turning lasts about a generation, about 80 years, give or take a little. And they're looking at around, I want to say he was saying 2013. I didn't read the whole book, but man.
2013, yes.
That actually brings up a question of mine, Bonnie. This is Holland.
Yes.
Does this have anything to do with 2012?
Absolutely. Let me give you a short timeline.
Oh, yeah.
In 1987, August 22nd, we had what occurred to harmonic convergence. What that was 7 of our planets, we were in it, were lined up in a straight row. First time ever that had happened. And then in 1991, a woman by the name of Solara, who's a major mover in this whole area, took a whole group over to Egypt, and they opened a huge doorway of energy flowing into the planet. Then we come along
that could go either way, couldn't it?
No, it's only positive. We're all positive workers. We're not bringing negative. We're offsetting the negative.
Well, I mean, I'm not implying that, but some people familiar with, like, the Babylon working in 1946. Well, that's
negative energy.
Yeah, exactly. So this is positive.
And see, that's what I say about it being here for 6,000 years. That negative template, realize there's an electromagnetic template around the planet, and that's been totally negative due to the Orions blowing up their own section of a part of their Orion system and landing here. That's a little bit maybe heavy for listeners.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
They made this negative energy around the planet, and that's what the template has been for all these 6,000 years, and that's where the money cabal works from. Anyway, what happened was they opened this huge doorway, into the universe, bringing in the positive energy, and that was in, as I said, in 91. 92, I guess. Then along in 1997, if you guys are there in Oklahoma, you might remember this. Over Phoenix, there was this huge mothership.
The Phoenix flyover by the UFO?
Yeah, it was called the Lights Over Phoenix.
Yeah, I've seen the documentary.
You remember that?
That's indisputable.
Yes, and it was huge, and it was their first exposure that we were all connected. Then we come to 2001. Well, of course, we know the planes hit the buildings and all of this and the whole cover-up and all of that. But what's so interesting about that is that there is a group of people, men from Princeton, now they're, of course, graduates from Princeton, run by a man by the name of Dean Radin. And these are all physicists and scientists of quality, and they have put out these random number generators out into the, out into the atmosphere here. And it just gives them 0, 1, 0, 1s, and they get a baseline. Well, in his book, which was published 2007, Dean's book, his second book.
What was that book called?
It's called Entangled Minds.
I've got that book, and it's fabulous.
Okay. Don't you remember in there where he's talking about for whom the bell tolls? We knew as a collective consciousness now, because that's what this measures. We knew 2 hours before that happened that it would happen.
See,
and we did not stop it.
The random number generator got much less random, and it does this when there are big events that affect the consciousness of everyone on the planet.
I've heard something about this.
Such as 9/11 or big events like that.
Yes.
This guy is so scientific.
I'll tell you where they got their first feedback on that, guys. It was during Diana's funeral. They had their generators out from 96 on, and there were 8 of them around the planet, and it was going ticky-tacky, and they would watch it, and the main frame is where Dean is, and he's up here in Petaluma, California. And so they would watch this, and Diana's funeral, there were 2 billion of us on the planet looking at that, because it was televised. Now, what happened was their baseline went completely off the charts. They were floored. Well, it was a verification that they were picking up something. So after that, of course, and then they started putting more of these out. They now have 38 out.
So do they have a hotline that they can let people know when something's going to happen?
It's
like
a red alert?
It was at least
but you know what? They're really quite quiet about this because here again we're talking about free thinkers.
So it's not just about an event that everyone sees. It's about an event that invokes emotion.
That everyone's
it's about
focused
an
on.
event
Energy.
that measures our collective consciousness. That's what it's about.
Yeah, quickly, there is some confirmation of that I've read about. For example, they sequestered 100 people who regularly took the New York Times crossword puzzle, and they took them and they separated a day, and they found that when these people started doing the crossword puzzle a day after about 10 million other people had done it, they solved the puzzles about 60% faster. So they were grabbing things from the collective unconscious and solving the puzzles faster, even though they had never seen it. So there is something to it.
So here we are. We're all working along now on this grid, the electromagnetic grid that's around the planet, and I'm one of the main people, not only one of the main, but my thing to project thought forms into that electromagnetic negative grid was one species of individuals living in freedom with abundance. I threw that out to that grid. And I didn't know how many of us were doing this. So I knew what I was doing. And so what happened was I get one of these emails that you don't quite know where it all originates from. It's back. Everybody heads up, Greenwich time, Greenwich, England. We're all going to meditate for 1 hour, and this was on July the 17th, 2007, and we're flipping the grid, which meant we were through working on it. Now, what that means, you guys, is, say, for instance, if anybody knows how they program, and I certainly don't, these computer programs and stuff, it's all this gibberish on the backside. You can't understand it. It's all just symbols and marks and stuff. Well, that's exactly what it would look like on the grid that the side we were working on. But when you flipped it, it started filtering in with actual ideas and thought forms into the collective consciousness. And that's why everybody's picking up on stuff and opening up and waking up. Well, guess what we just did yesterday? Flipping that grid in July of 2007, and you saw the horrendous electric election year and all of that stuff coming up now, like, negativity coming up. That's because that positive energy is in here, and it's forcing it out of the planet.
Hold on, Bonnie. We're going to break, and we will definitely continue that line of thought. We're talking to Bonnie Lange of the True Seeker Company and Foundation, someone who is infinitely more positively minded than I. It's been very enjoyable to talk about. We have one more segment. If you want to call in, the number is 512-646-1984, and you're listening to Radio Free Oklahoma.
Good evening. You're listening to Radio Free Oklahoma on the Rule of Law Radio Network. Tonight we're speaking with Bonnie Lange of the Truth Seekers Foundation. Bonnie, I wanted to ask you some questions here. What you're describing about people pulling this from the collective unconscious or subconscious, it sounds a lot like what you see in animals, even with instinct. You know, everybody's very familiar with that, and they don't have a problem with that with animals. But somehow when you apply it to a human being, they go, "Oh no, that's just some." That doesn't make sense. But, you know, the 100th monkey, that has happened. It's reproducible time and time again, you know. And then in Washington, D.C., they did that experiment, and they actually watched the crime rate. And I forget how many people. I mean, it was a lot of people all focused on Washington, D.C. I think a lot of them actually went there. They prayed and meditated, whatever their religion was, whatever. They just focused on, you know, peace and love. And the crime rate actually went down. It was measurable during that time.
Wow.
Sure.
So all this hippie talk about
what's at work there is what we call telepathy. And we are all connected. This is Entangled Minds telling us this. We're all electromagnetic systems, first of all. Even our animals with us. Absolutely. And what we're doing is talking to each other telepathically on the non-physical level. You're really a non-physical entity projecting yourself physically. That's really what we are. And the more we understand that, the more we'll build the new world that we really want. Now, I'll tell you what happened yesterday. Here we are again. We've been working, and we flipped that grid, and it was 2007, and I thought, okay, I can see all the negativity around me. How are we doing now with this grid down here on the Earth plane? Because that was the whole point of it, was to get everybody going, and they weren't going very good. So yesterday, another one of these emails, and we only did this for 15 minutes. We were getting together again, Greenwich time. Mine was 3:15 in the afternoon, and we were sending again. We were firing up the grid. Now we flipped it, and now we fired it. Yesterday we put our thoughts, fired it up, because it's now soaked into the Earth plane. We are grounded. We got both ends covered now. So
hold on, Bonnie. It looks like you're generating some interest. We have a caller